Hey everyone, today I'm going to go ahead and let you know what I'm decluttering. This is part 4 in the series, so if you guys are interested, there are 3 other videos of decluttering before this. I have a huge movie collection that has gotten out of control, and I'm just keeping what I really like and or what I might rewatch one day. Okay, so I have a stack of decluttering videos, so I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys know what they are. So let's first start off with Way of the Wicked. Now, I saw Christian Slater on here and my hopes were probably set a little too high. It is a supernatural thriller, and basically there are some strange murders that happen, and a certain kid gets blamed for them, and it's kind of like Carrie meets, I don't want to say Twilight, but there's some like romancy vibes kind of like that, and it just wasn't that great. I sat through it and I was like, please be good, please be good. The twist was pretty obvious too, and yeah, it just wasn't good. I didn't enjoy it, and I don't plan on watching it again. I mean, it could be worth one watch, but like I said, it's kind of like The Omen meets Twilight meets Carrie in a way, so like there's different, you would think it would be good with those kind of comparisons, but it's not. It really isn't. It's like all those things just flat. But anyway, yeah, I honestly don't recommend it, but if you feel like checking it out just because that's Christian Slater, I don't judge you, because that's exactly what happened to me. I'm going to be decluttering Hold Your Breath. Hold Your Breath is basically one of those friends get into a car and they are on a camping trip and bad things start happening. It's based on the kind of urban legend, if you are driving past a cemetery, you must hold your breath or you could be possessed, right? So, you know how I am about urban legends. This movie was not the greatest movie. The acting was not that great either. It was more cheesy fun for me rather than a serious horror watch. I'm decluttering this though because I recently got the Blu-ray version of this, and so I don't need the DVD version anymore. So we're gonna declutter that one, and I'm keeping it technically, but Blu-ray version, right? So, okay. Another one that I'm decluttering, but it has a Blu-ray home in my shelf, is Howl. Howl is a fantastic werewolf movie. Basically, one stormy night, passengers on one of the last trains out of London have some issues because the train stops running, and panic ensues, and they realize that there is some sort of creature outside, and yeah, carnage ensues. I really enjoyed this movie, though I wish that they would have kept more to the practical effects versus adding in the CGI to get like certain expressions, because there were a few times when they used CGI that it came across as fake in a way, and it kind of detracted from the movie. But overall, great movie, great acting, great practical effects. The CGI, just, you guys, if you can use practical effects, always use practical effects. Practical effects usually age really well. Usually. These, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, some of them don't, but like, I love practical effects. It just looks more real. Okay, next movie that I'm gonna declutter is Beast Within. And the back, it says Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds Meets Outbreak, and they wonder why I have trust issues. That is not a good way to describe this movie. Yes, there were some birds attacking. Yes, there were some infected people, but it wasn't good, you guys. It was like, okay, there was a group of people, and they are kind of hunkered down in a mansion because one of the characters' fathers had passed away, and basically they're coming back for the service, and these friends are here to support them. You would think that would sound like a good storyline. It wasn't. It wasn't. Don't bother. So these toxic birds start attacking some people in this small town, and that turns into like an infection. Now that sounds like it's going to be awesome, but it's not. It's not. It's not good at all. So the humans become kind of like infected, but they're like mutants in a way. I don't remember enjoying it too much at all, honestly. So I am decluttering that. You think it would be good with that, the description of Outbreak meets the birds, but okay. And this, the next one I'm going to be getting rid of might be a little controversial. I've heard a lot of people really like this movie, and it's not that the movie was bad per se. It's because it's just not my type of movie. It was very artistic, and it felt like I was in a nightmare or in hell, kind of, in a way. The movie is called Climax. Now, Climax is about a group of dancers, and this group of dancers, they're fantastic. They do an amazing job. There's a lot of dance scenes in this movie. So one day at one of their dance practices, I guess, they get drugged with LSD, and a drug trip starts ensuing for everybody that happened to take this spiked drink, basically. And yeah, it just was, it was just disturbing to see all these people tripping out on LSD, I guess, and everything that you can imagine that could happen while someone is having like a really bad trip amongst a lot of people would happen. So it just really wasn't my subject matter. I didn't really like it at all. Some of the characters in the beginning were talking very like explicitly about some of the other female characters, and it just, I didn't like it because of that. So like, it's just not my type of movie. But I know a lot of people liked it. It is very artistic. It's stylized, and it's done really well because you feel like you're kind of going crazy in a way. But yeah, I don't want to watch this again, so I'm getting rid of it. Though I know a lot of people liked it, so it might be a little controversial. So I went back and forth on The Echo. The Echo is about a man who is recently released from prison, and he moves into an apartment, and he starts hearing abuse being done on his neighbor and his neighbor's daughter by their father/husband. And one day he's constantly trying to reach out to help them, but it's just, oh, I almost gave away I almost gave away what it was. So basically, I've seen other movies done better with the same premise, and I'm not surprised. I don't want to give anything away, sorry guys. It's just, it wasn't bad. The acting wasn't bad. It wasn't the greatest either, but it felt like a typical psychological kind of thriller. But yeah, it's worth a watch for sure. I was really hoping Kevin Durant would be like a more interesting person, because I really love him in The Strain, but sadly he wasn't that interesting. He was kind of typical. character. But anyway, it just kind of reminded me of other movies that I had seen. But I don't want to say those movies because I don't want to spoil it. Okay. The next movie I'm decluttering is Parasitic. Now, the cover looks amazing, right? So does the back. Now, I'll tell you, this is another one of those group of friends is stuck somewhere movies. And I apparently have an issue with that because it's done so many times. But they're trapped inside a nightclub slash bar, and they work there. And they get locked in because their boss is like ultra controlling, and she steps away to go to the bathroom because she's not feeling well. Now, basically what happens is there is a parasite, obviously, that makes its way into one of the people at the nightclub, and they start turning and infecting each other, and carnage ensues. But it takes a long time to get to the point. The beginning is very long. The characters are all very unlikable. I think I would have enjoyed this movie a lot more if there were likable characters. They just weren't interesting, and yeah, it made it hard to care about the movie. The most interesting part of the movie was when they decided to use practical effects for the parasitic thing. But it was not too many scenes of that, and that's where it kind of fell flat. It felt more bad horror, and not in a good way, and not enough of the actual creature and interacting with it. And yeah, the best actress in the whole movie was in the last like maybe 2 or 3 minutes of the movie, and that's sad. So yeah, and I really enjoy the scene because she rolls up in my old car that I used to have, my Ford Focus, and it was red too, so it made me like kind of miss it since I lost it in a car accident. Someone hit me and totaled my car. That was my first car. So yeah, I like the way it ended, and I like the twist at the end, but the bad writing and acting made this movie fail in my eyes. It wasn't great. So if it had the writing and the better acting of the last actress at the end, I would have enjoyed it. So sad, because I don't know, it was disappointing. Okay, another one I am going to go ahead and let go is Hangman. Now, Hangman is a found footage film, so if you're not a fan of that, you would not want to watch this. Basically, a family comes home and realizes that someone's been in their house. And the intruder is living in their house with them the whole time. And watching their every move, basically. So that's kind of the premise of the movie. I've seen something like this done a little bit differently. It kind of had the vibes of, why can't I think of it right now? Oh my gosh. The Paranormal Activity movies, it kind of had the same vibes because they were like inside security camera stuff. But yeah, I really didn't enjoy it. It kind of reminded me of Manhunter in a way, but not, because that wasn't like voyeuristic that I can't remember, but it just kind of had the similar vibes. But I don't find myself watching it again. It's not a bad movie, like I said. It just isn't something I'm going to reach for again. Like, if I was going to reach for an intruder movie, it would be like Jackals, or what's that other movie? What was it called? I can't think of it right now. It was the one where the girl who was deaf had the intruder break in, and she like had to battle against him. I can't think of it. So if you guys can think of it, go ahead and comment down below. I really like that movie and I can't think of it. It really bothers me that I can't think of it. I don't actually have that movie in my collection, so hopefully one day Horrorpack will send it to me, because I don't purchase my own movies anymore, or I rarely do. Okay, and then the last movie that I'm going to go ahead and get rid of is Gut. And I didn't rewatch this, but I remember watching it the first time and thinking it was pretty good, but I don't think I'm ever going to watch this again. And it's signed, so yeah. I do feel kind of bad about not keeping this one, but I need space on my shelves, like I was saying. So, yeah, that's my get rid of pile. Let me grab my keep pile real quick. Okay, so I have my keep pile here. The first movie that I'm going to show you guys is Dead Mine. Basically, Dead Mine is about a man who takes a group of explorers and they are looking for something special. They don't quite know what it is. It's just based on lore. And basically, this movie is kind of more of like an action film than a horror film, but it's also kind of like Nazi zombies and what was the other movie I was thinking about the other day? Man, I wish I would have written that down. It was like kind of like Nazi zombies, but then not, because it's in Indonesia and it's a World War II bunker for the Japanese. And then it's also kind of got like some really cool samurai action, as you can see. But yeah, it's interesting. Not the greatest movie, but it had a special charm to it that I appreciate. So I'm going to keep it, because I probably would end up watching it again. Okay, and the next movie that I wanted to show you guys that I'm going to keep, and I judge myself for keeping this, I really do, is Cabin Fever Patient Zero. So it has Sean Astin, and he's like the best thing of the movie. Like he's the only one that really I believe as a character, and I just love him. But basically, it is the backstory of how Cabin Fever, the first movie, started. Patient Zero, there's the title right there. I'm not gonna go too into it because you guys know what a cabin fever movie is. It's basically body horror, disease. There were some gross moments in here, and I have the other two movies. This is better than the second one for sure, but I'm not like a huge cabin fever fan. It's just kind of gross, but because I have the other two movies and they're connected to my Descent movies, I kept them, and who knows, maybe someday someone will want to borrow my cabin fever movies. Okay, the next movie I'm keeping is Bong of the Living Dead. This is one of my Horrorpack limited editions, and basically it was about 5 friends, and they are sharing the love of basically weed and horror movies, zombies. They're all about that. Now, there were quite a few scenes that were unnecessary, I felt, in this movie, but you could tell that whoever was creating the movie is a fan of film, and there was a lot of love put into it. The acting was fun and funny and cheesy. The movie as well was fun, funny, and cheesy, but only for certain moments. There were some moments where I was just like, okay, get to the point. Like the beginning scene, there were 2 scenes where there were people having a little fun in their cars, and it was more than one person, and the scene just like lasted very long. It was like, okay, was this an excuse to shoot that? But anyway, if you've seen this, you kind of know what I'm talking about. I will probably rewatch this when I have someone to watch it with me, so we can kind of like laugh and enjoy it together. But other than that, it's not my favorite comedy, but it was okay, and I think I'll watch it again. That's why I'm keeping it. Okay, this movie has a little bit of nostalgia for me, and it is The Innkeepers. When Chris and I first moved to our house, this was one of the first movies that we watched on Netflix, and I just love the vibe of it. It's a supernatural thriller about a woman and a man who work at an inn that is closing down, and they also experience supernatural things. I really like the vibe of it. It's really interesting, and yeah, Sarah Paxton was in it, and I really liked her in Shark Week, and for some reason she reminds me of Alexis Bledel, which is interesting. I don't know. Oops, I dropped everything. Okay, so where was I? Okay, so another movie that I've had for a really long time is Dark Harvest. With the cover, you would expect it to be really good. It's not. It's terrible. It's a bad movie. Basically, a young man one day gets an inheritance of a farm, and his friends go with him to the farm, and they basically think it's going to be an awesome getaway. Things happen, and scarecrows come to life, and they must battle the scarecrows to stay alive. I almost got rid of it. I almost decluttered it, but I haven't seen the other two movies that go along with it, and I know they're going to be terrible, but I must see them. So I went on Amazon to go look and see if I could get them, and the first one is kind of expensive on there, so like I just wanted to like hold on to it. And I don't think that giving it to one of my local stores would get the value of it, so I don't know. That's why I decided to hold on to it. The best thing about it though is the score. The score, I really liked it. It's very eerie. So if you get a chance, check out the score. I really recommend that. Okay, so the next movie that I decided to keep was The Road. Now, The Road is a Filipino horror movie, and I haven't seen any of those before. And yeah, it's just about this road that connects multiple horrifying events, I guess is what I'm going to say. And yeah, they all connect, and I thought the story was very well done, and I really liked each one of the characters, and I liked the ending, and I liked the twist, so I definitely recommend The Road. The next movie that I decided to go ahead and keep was Species. Basically, a alien-human hybrid escapes from a laboratory, and she is looking for a mate. That's the whole premise of the movie. Yes, they took a lot of things inspired by Alien for sure, but yeah, it was still interesting and I liked it. Another movie I'm keeping is The Reef. The Reef had me on the edge of my seat. I think I watched it once before on Netflix, but I forgot about it until I was like halfway through the film, and I was like, wow, I do remember that. I had the same feelings. It was very eerie. Sharks get me. I get really sketched out about shark attacks. I guess that's because I used to go swimming in the ocean quite a bit, and yeah, I'm from California, so we visit the ocean quite a bit. Another movie I'm keeping is The Shape of Water. I remember Guillermo saying that this was his response to The Creature of the Black Lagoon. And yeah, it was a really interesting story. He knows how to create a magical environment, and I just love Guillermo, and yeah, keeping that. Another movie that I am keeping, and I judge myself over this one too, is The Forest. I remember watching The Forest when it first came out in I think theaters, and I went with my mom, and me and my mom were not very impressed, so I was really ready to get rid of this film. Basically the reason why I kept it was because Chris and I watched this, and I made him watch it with me on Netflix so I didn't have to open it, so if I changed my mind I could get rid of it and maybe get a higher value since it's sealed. But he got scared on one of the most like simple innocent parts. It was like one of the first jump scares too, and he just like screamed, and it was just so hilarious that it was gonna bring back funny memories when I watch it. So I probably will watch it again. It's very typical supernatural thriller. Not the greatest. If you want the same vibe, I mean, something that scares me to this day is The Grudge, and I still haven't checked out that TV series for it, but The Grudge just is superior. It does it really well, and it's very scary. Still traumatizes me to this day. Okay, the next movie I am keeping is Deadly Crush. Something about this movie I really, really liked. It was just the vibe of it. This woman who is an artist rents a cabin, and she is there to paint, and there is a spirit attached to the house, and something happened to that spirit, and basically the story ensues there. It was a little bit romance, supernatural, mystery, all together. The practical effects were not bad. It was pretty good. Some of the scenes were a little gratuitous and awkward probably to film, but I think I would watch this again one day. It was just really interesting, and I liked the vibe of it. Okay. Alright, so I was all ready to get rid of this, and I wasn't even going to bother watching A Brush with Death, because the first time I attempted to watch this, I stopped it like pretty quickly off. I couldn't even get through it. I just stopped, hit eject. I hadn't watched this other double feature, which was Harvest of Fear. Basically, Harvest of Fear is a movie about kind of like Spring Break, but for fall. It's called Harvest Fest. So basically this little town hosts Harvest Fest, which is kind of like a spring break for their college kids in their area or near their area. And there in the past had been murders of those type of people, college kids, coming on Harvest Fest, because people didn't like that college kids were coming and visiting their little town and kind of ruining what they saw as a perfect little town. So they had that in the past, and it seems like it's going to start picking up in the present as well. I really liked it. The acting wasn't the greatest, but it had a special charm and vibe to it, so I'm keeping it, and I think I will watch it again. I really like the twist at the end, even though it might have been a little bit predictable, but like I said, I really liked, I enjoyed it. I was able to laugh at it by myself, so I enjoyed that. Okay, next movie I am keeping is The Intruders. Now, The Intruders is a story that initially, I don't want to give spoilers. See, this is something that is very hard when you're coming up with a summary, because categorizing this in its subgenre would give it away. Now, I don't even know what I'm going to categorize this on my shelves, but it had a ghostly vibe to it, and I really enjoyed the underlying message in it and the underlying story that comes out. A man is trying to protect his daughter from an intruder in a way, and I don't want to give it away because like that's the whole point of watching this movie. I really suggest it. I highly suggest it. There's two sets of characters. One is the man and the daughter, and the other is a mother and a son who are going through a similar thing, and they connect in some way. And like I said, I recommend it. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic storytelling. Anyway, yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. Maybe I'll do a separate review about the underlying story because I thought it was great. Okay. The next film that I'm keeping is Echoes of Fear. Now, another Echo movie. I'm still kind of debating with myself whether I want to get rid of this or not. Basically, a woman inherits her grandfather's home and starts discovering things about her grandfather. That's the premise of the movie. It's worth a watch. I'm not sure if it's worth a rewatch yet, but I thought this was better than the other Echo movie. And so I was like, do I keep it? Do I not keep it? But yeah, I might keep it. I might get rid of it though. I think my hoarding is coming in. Okay, we have 2 more movies to get through. I watched Hilarious, and I thought Hilarious was amazing. It's a collection of films, so it's an anthology, and my favorite stories on here, a lot of them are really good. My favorite one was The Killer Shopping Cart. I thought that was hilarious. I love the practical effects. It was just fun. I loved Lunch Ladies. I thought it was cute and creative and gross, and just, I loved the Johnny Depp references. They're fun. I liked, let's see, what else did I like? Those 2 were my favorites, I think. I hope I'm not forgetting any. But there was a guitar one. There was these group of guys that wanted to get rid of their wives one. There was like a kind of werewolfy one, kind of. And yeah, Chupacabra one too. So yeah, they were all short and fun. So I recommend watching that when you get a chance. That one is up there. That's like one of my favorite ones so far. Okay, and the last one. So I didn't want to like this one, Antibirth, for the same reason that I didn't like the Climax movie. I thought it was going to be about, you know, drugs and partying and bad things happening, and just, yeah. It is a body horror conspiracy movie in a way. And it comes off as like a warning against the partying drug life. Yeah. I wasn't interested in watching this. I tried to watch it once before on Netflix. I didn't really like the characters in the beginning, but the way that it ended, I really liked it. So when it comes to horror movies and stories in general, for me, endings are everything. Like, a beginning is important, but an ending I feel like is even more important. It will last. It gives you a lasting impression. So I'm going to keep this because I might rewatch this again. Anyway, that's all I have. Let me know what you guys think about the movies that I'm decluttering and what I'm keeping. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you think some of the ones I got rid of, it's like a no-no, I shouldn't be doing that? Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned. I still have a ton more movies to go